the Roaring Twenties. So for the leisure industry, people had reduced working hours and more wages because of the war. Because people had more money to spend and believed in more rights, so they reduced their working hours and had more money to spend on goods and services because America became more developed. So with the wages, they could participate in the leisure industry. So one example is a cinema. So during the 1920s, cinema had been booming. A lot of people have been going to watch, a lot more people have been going to watch movies because it was like an escape from their own lives, because it was like a fantasy, like a dream. And people who acted in those movies became like celebrities, they became stars. They were paid like a lot to simply act in those movies, and the cinema industry expanded even more when sound was introduced in 1927 with the first movie with sound. This improved the cinema industry and just created a boom in the industry. And for jazz, so during the 1920s, black people have been migrating from the south to the north side of the USA, and they have been introducing a style of music called jazz. It was faster than the usual music that was pre-1920s. And people start to like dancing to jazz. So like people who, like women and young people, like to listen to jazz and dance, and it created a lot of bars, pubs to contribute to the leisure industry. And there was sport. So a lot of people watched boxing and baseball during this time because they had more time, and they had more time to spend on leisure industries such as sports. So one of the key reasons why the leisure industry was booming like this was because of the car industry. And the car industry developed other industries, so like drive-thrus and other consumerism things. The development of cars meant that people could travel anywhere they wanted, because now they could use cars to drive anywhere, and it was like a sign of mobility. So this meant that people could watch sports, go to bars more, watch cinemas, and driving was seen as even driving was seen as a leisure activity, being able to drive anywhere. And while the Roaring Twenties was a prosperous and wealthy time, and it was a time of novelty, with radios booming, and as we know, advertising was on the rise. How people took psychology classes just to make people buy goods, and people believed in improving their self-image for neighbors from advertisements. So advertisements will make people want to buy more, as if they didn't buy those goods, they'll be letting their family down. Like, for example, women with vacuum cleaners and refrigerators, because it made jobs more efficient. But the Roaring Twenties is also a time of changing morals and values. So, firstly, for women, in the pre-1918 era, women didn't have the right to vote. Women had no political power, and they wore ankle-length dresses, long hair. They weren't expected to wear makeup, and smoking was an unladylike activity, and divorce and sex before marriage was very rare. But in the 1920s, this changed a lot. The first woman was elected as governor in 1924, and women were given the right to vote in the 1920s. In 1920, to be more exact. And they had more power to vote, but even though they had little political progress as a society, the fact that they had the right to vote meant that it was a good development. And it was seen as a bad thing that divorces doubled, because now women start to go get, how you say, they had more sex before marriage, and they divorced a lot more. So women were a lot more free, and this gave a rise to the flappers. So this was a 1920s woman which was youthful and believed in opposing all pre-1920s social norms. So they had short hair, so like the bob. They wore short dresses, and instead of the curvy figure that the pre-1920s era had brought, they believed in thin and not showing any curves. So they wore like cylindrical tubes that limited their figure. And these women were dancing a lot, were wearing makeup, had short hair, short dresses. They were seen as a deteriorating society in terms of morals and values. So this was a time of intolerance also. So we know that for immigration, people start to despise immigrants because of that they weren't keeping America American, and the fact that America was still in a period of isolationism. So people took that very literally and wanted America to be American. So many groups were intolerant of people whose race and politics and even gender were different from theirs. So a lot of people, such as fundamentalists and the church, believe that the Roaring Twenties brought a time of a change in morals and values, and it was a bad thing. So they did not like that people were smoking and listening to black music, especially, and that women had political power, that women were getting out and dancing, women had freedom, and they opposed women in that case. One of the key examples of the nature of the fundamentalist society was the Bible Belt. So it's a name given to the southeast side of America, such as Alabama, Kentucky, and Tennessee. They were extremely religious, and they did not like the societal changes brought by America. So one of the main arguments was over the theory of evolution from fundamentalists and the new generation. One of the key examples is the monkey trial. So this is during 1925, when the state of Tennessee passed a law that banned the teaching of anything that contradicted the Bible's creation story. So it disproved the theory of evolution. So John Scopes, he was a high school biology teacher in Tennessee. So he deliberately taught evolution just so he would get in trouble and bring attention to the case of evolution. The trial caused a sensation, and on the first day there were even 1,000 people crammed into the courtroom. The judge clearly knew that the Constitution could not be overruled, so he also expected a guilty verdict, like the Sacco and Vanzetti case, and he did not think the argument that evolution should overrule the theory of creation, even though the theory of evolution had a lot of proof during that time, and it was pretty clear that the theory of creation was to decline. The judge did not accept this argument and believed in Christian values, being a fundamentalist, and believed that the Constitution should be held. So the jury found Scopes guilty, and he was fined $100.